The Walt Disney Company would probably like it if you would just forget about Echo, darn it. It's so bad it makes Willow look good. And yet, there are those out there across the internet who have decided that if you don't like Echo, it is their personal job to strike out against you, to label you, to viciously attack you, to hurl personal insults and make sure that you never speak your opinion again. And how dare you for even thinking of it in the first place. Today, folks, we're going to share with you how perhaps Echo was so bad that Disney even timed the Star Wars press release to get two birds with one stone. Hang tight, it's spicy this time. Hello folks, welcome back to the WDW Pro channel. And LaReinaCreole is with us, so you know it's going to be a great video. Lorena, welcome back.
Thank you. Glad to be back and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Folks, Lorena did the same thing and she took a little break, and we all out here on YouTube, we're wishing we had done the same because, well, we might not be so crazy. We might be able to handle some of this insanity. And Lorena, thank goodness you did take a brief sabbatical because, well, you've been taking some fire. And so we're going to get into this about Echo. It wasn't okay for you to have an opinion, apparently. And, well, it turns out that you actually have a reason, I think, to have an opinion. Although I think anybody, anywhere, always can have an opinion on just about everything. But this out of the Chattanooga News Chronicle. You had sent this to me as a bit of background. It's titled "The Black Choctaws." Lorena, can you tell me why this article is important to you?
The reason why this article is important to me, where my paternal grandmother and grandfather grew up was in southern Mississippi, Alabama. And they always talked about the Choctaw Indian tribe and their rivals, the Creek Indians. So they were always talking about, about the Choctaw and the interactions that our family, would have with them. Now, I did DNA testing about 10 years ago, found out all this crazy stuff, about my family, and was running down the paper trails and all of that, and find out that I had a fifth great grandfather who was white. And not only that, guess what? He was a slave owner. Not only that, but he was known for entertaining the chief and other members of the Choctaw Nation at his plantation. And not only that, selling them slaves as well.
Well, I guess you could say that is, well, you're the envy of Elizabeth Warren. How about that? But that said, Lorena, that said, you are a perfect picture of the kaleidoscope that is humanity. I always find it interesting that we want to box in people, and this is what we're looking at with the WGA criteria and check boxes they had the other day, that they're trying to force all of their writers to do. I find it absurd, absolutely absurd, that we attempt to force humanity into cookie cutter categories that are clean cut. And it's like, no, we are all so many different things. And I think it's done, of course, to separate and to divide and to make people enter into arbitrary tribes that really aren't a reflection of our humanity. But needless to say, when it comes to Echo, which is all about, apparently, according to the haters out there, not the haters of the show, but the haters of you, it's all about Native American representation. And yet, well, Variety, not even Variety can like this thing. Variety by Aramide Tanubu. I'm going to guess, folks. Apologies on that. I don't intend to mispronounce. Disney Plus's Echo fails to live up to the potential of its Marvel superhero. And it's the TV review. And it goes on to give this very poor review of Echo, which, I haven't heard very many people say that this is a great thing. But, Lorena, apparently it's a no-no. Unless you're a trade. Trades can do this. But it's a no-no if you come out and say that Echo was not good. You're not allowed to have an opinion on that, except that it creates this very strange thing where when you, Lorena, with Choctaw ancestry, when you come out and say Echo's not good, then you have all of these soy boy gingerbread latte fellows with extra cream on top, and please hold the caffeine. They are coming and attacking you, and they're attacking you based on race when you're the person that's supposed to get represented by the show. Tell us what you faced in the online trollery.
Well, a slight correction. I do not
Please.
have at least not Choctaw ancestry that I could definitively nail down. My Native American ancestry actually comes from the Aztecs, so that's a whole nother interesting.
Gotcha. Okay, my mistake on that.
No,
still Native American ancestry.
Yeah, and just happen to have a relative who basically dealt with human trafficking with the Choctaw Indians. The Choctaw Indians traded goods, slaves. They had slaves themselves. And part of the Choctaws who refused to go to Oklahoma on the Trail of Tears. So the Choctaw Nation that we see in Echo are the ones who got forcibly removed to Oklahoma, thanks to former Florida Territorial Governor Andrew Jackson. But
sure, and I'll tell you this. Let me say this: when it comes to the worst presidents in history, a lot of people will say, that it's a more modern president because that's what's on their mind. Jackson, in my opinion, is the worst president we have ever had. I think the Trail of Tears and all of that is that's the most reprehensible thing. Well, one of them. There's a couple, but a terrible, terrible sin against humanity there. And so, we should say that as a little history lesson for those out there who don't know.
Yeah, Andrew Jackson made my family's life a living hell in Florida. Let's put it that way.
Well, I want to. This is, of course, nowhere near that level, Lorena, in terms of stress levels. But this is you commenting. There's somebody here who says the vitriol. The vitriol, and by the way, I think you are a lovely person. I have never encountered you in any way that was less than just splendid. But the vitriol LaReinaCreole is having thrown her way because she doesn't like the Echo TV show is disgusting, says Jean Gentry. So apparently Jean is defending you against an online mob, or what's going on here? What's happened that people are actually having to defend you for having an opinion?
Well, God bless you, Jean. I've had interactions with her in the past. I love following her on Twitter. What she's talking about is I posted a very, very honest reaction to Echo. And for people who have been following my Twitter feed, I said, Marvel is doing the same thing with Native American culture that they did with Black culture in Wakanda Forever. You were going to have this abysmal writing wrapped up in the shield of representation. Isn't this great that you have representation? Isn't it great that we're not only is it, indigenous culture that we're talking about, there's also disabilities and all of that. And I'm just like, I don't care about that. Give me a story that makes me identify with the characters. All the rest on top of that is gravy, but don't be so disingenuous that
category's not enough.
This is what you do. Yes, the category is definitely not enough. It's not enough at all. But
totally agree.
But you've got people who were just upset. How dare you throw stones at my glass house? How dare you say this wonderful depiction of Native American culture, to be specific, the Choctaw Nation of Oklahoma, let's be specific. How dare you talk about that? And I'm like, yeah, I am going to talk about that. And I knew Disney wasn't going to go down this problematic rabbit hole. So you had some people who accused me of, well, you hate, Choctaws. I'm like, no. Never said that at all. And then you have people who were like, well, you're talking about slavery and, there was nothing in this story that said that they were oppressed. I said, okay, obviously you did not watch this show because it was very evident that white people were made out to be the ones that oppressed them. You saw them in the interactions that they had. You saw it in a black and white rip-off, literally, of the Lone Ranger, almost shot for shot, of white people encroaching on their land and threatening them. No Trail of Tears. They went that way. And then another scene where they were talking about, oh, we had to take your mother away from, you know, the white hospital. So it was okay to demonize white people and show them as the oppressors. But it wasn't okay to show when the Choctaws were the oppressors.
Well, and that is an infantile way of viewing the world. We just talked about at the beginning of this video, the kaleidoscope that you and I are in our ancestries, and basically everybody out there. I mean, and so the idea, of course, here is, well, you know, get rid of the kaleidoscope and just put people into categories. And then once you've put people into categories, then you can put an entire category above or below others. You can make an entire category evil. And then you don't have to have nuance. You don't have to recognize, oh, every single group, every single tribe, every single demographic on earth has good people and bad people in it, and everything in between. There are trustworthy people and very untrustworthy people in every single group, and that's how you get. That's how you create all the isms of the world, the real isms. But Lorena, this seems to me to be another example of what we saw with The Little Mermaid last year, which was Disney created a film which was technically extremely poor. The CGI was very bad. Now, Halle Bailey did a fine job, and she's a great vocalist, but she was put into a movie that just did not work. And what did Disney do to defend that? Well, they used her and her ethnicity as a shield. And this seems to be the same thing where the folks out there are attempting to defend this really indefensible, I mean, even the trades have turned against it, this really bad Marvel series on Disney Plus, again, using that same shield, different race, same tactic, and it's tiresome. It's so, this should be left on the playground with 5-year-olds, right? And then we're supposed to teach the 5-year-olds to be better, and then the adults are not doing so well. But Lorena, since there are those who just despise the idea that you, as an independent woman, could have an independent opinion about things, what is your review of Echo? Please share with us. You having watched it, what did you think of it?
What I thought about this show was, granted, I didn't read the comics. However, this show basically with Echo was about her getting some kind of cocktail of ancestral powers. We never got an explanation as to the original person, what happened, were they an alien, were they a mutant, whatever the heck it was. But for the whole thing of this whole entire show, it's about Echo and her quote unquote vengeance. And you don't get a connection to her as a villain. You don't love her enough to hate her as a villain. You know, when there's villains that are so bad, you hate them, but they're written so well, it's like, dang, I can't believe I'm emotionally invested in whether something happens to them or not. Not the case when it comes to Echo. The scene where she loses her leg. Do you know how she loses her leg?
It's comical. Please, Lorena, tell the audience.
In a car accident. However, a car accident where there was no collision from the front or the side or whatever. Is gone. Physics is completely and totally gone. Her mom, bam, we knew she was dead when she got hit, but she's still in the seat like nothing happened.
We haven't seen something this bad since the Dalmatians roundhouse kicked Cruella de Vil's parents into their demise. So bad.
I'm like, this is what happens. And then she's got a chip on her shoulder through the whole, entire thing. And it's like her.
Well, you would too if you couldn't figure out how you lost your darn leg. That made me mad.
Goodness, it was just
5 hours, Lorena. You should be given a badge of honor for surviving it.
5 hours. You know what? It was so bad. I kid you not. I have a superhuman Law Division mug. I would rather go back and watch She-Hulk then watch this. And it's something to say when minor yeah, I know, it's bad. It's really bad. It was so bad. I watched it on Hulu. The commercials were better than the show was. I really didn't run the commercial interruptions. But with this show, it was written so bad, and you had no investment in Echo, that you were more invested in the minor characters, like my boy Biscuit, one of my favorite Native American actors, not because he's Native American, because he is just awesome, Graham Greene. I have grown up watching him in things, and he's an amazing actor, but he was so wasted in this.
Yes, and that's the shame, is when they waste opportunities with great actors because they're too busy paying attention to the young virtue signalers. Lorena, there's one other thing about this, though, that I find interesting. We teased this with the intro to the video today. When Echo came out, we also had the announcement of Jon Favreau doing the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. That came out in a press release. Clearly, the narrative was not good for Star Wars. Clearly, they needed to switch things up, and rapidly. And by the way, folks, we think that they realized the Rey movie was the hot garbage we were reporting on here on this channel, and they decided they were going to have to do something. They could not put Rey out. They could not fail on that kind of scale. I think that Charmin Obaid-Chinoy got wind of that, and she tried to stop it by making herself undelayable, unfireable, and she decided to make the statements she did. I don't think that stopped Disney, clearly. And then what was the solution? Well, it appears to have been to take The Mandalorian Season 4 and just retrofit that into a movie and pray that it works and pray they can get it out in time. I have my doubts. But Lorena, the timing here is interesting because they put this press release out on the very same day that Echo came out, and Echo is a huge fail. Whenever any credible and sane person says, and you are that, says that something is worse than She-Hulk, I mean, just, unplug the TV at that point. Good Lord. But, it's an abomination on your screen. It's going to burn the OLED or LED pixels with its unholy, its unholy creation. But Lorena, I think they got two birds in one stone with this, because they managed to get people to not talk about Echo because it was kind of buried by the Star Wars news. Do you think that's purposeful, or do you think that it's just a coincidence and maybe gravy on top of what they were doing trying to save Star Wars?
No, I think it was done on purpose to bury this show. Originally, it was supposed to come out on the 10th. Then they push it up to, they're going to put there on the 9th. And then they dump all 5 episodes. When have they ever done this?
It's because if they did one episode, nobody would have watched any of the others, and then it would have crashed on Nielsen, and everybody would have known it. This is a Nielsen game. Yeah.
None.
But Lorena, think about this. They could have held the Star Wars PR announcement. And folks, just think this through for a moment, okay? Go beyond what a lot of the access media does. Let's all think about this one step ahead of Disney. If Echo was a great show, why would you not put that out there and give it 24 hours of breathing room to just make positive publicity and then do your Star Wars announcement? They didn't. They didn't give it that 24 hours of breathing room at all. They could have. They didn't. Two birds, one stone. I agree with you, Lorena. All right, Lorena, final thoughts on the craziness of this world we live in, where you're not allowed to have an opinion, where demographics are used as shields now against crappy content. And if it's worse than She-Hulk, God help us all. What darkness have they unleashed on the planet? Lorena, final thoughts, please.
Final thoughts. You know what? If you like the show, you like the show. You go ahead and you love this show. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Just because you don't like this show does not equate to, quote unquote, hating Native Americans.
They're going to tell you you're part of the patriarchy next time. It's coming, Lorena.
I'm part of the patriarchy. All of that. I mean, it's bad enough. I probably won't get reparations because I descend from too many slave owners. But
that wrong thing's going to get you too. That wrong thing's really going to get you.
Yeah, folks. Just you know what? You need to call a spade, and not demonize people for saying that.
That's right. I mean, how else are we going to review and get better content unless we can do so with a we want to give everything the benefit of the doubt, but sometimes you just got to be critical. And this thing stinks. It's stinky. It's okay to call it, folks. You don't have to pretend. You don't have to hold your nose and pretend because it did the virtue signal that your tribe thinks is wonderful. You don't have to do that. You can actually like good content. And folks, speaking of which, if you like the content that you just watched, click that like button, share, subscribe. When you click it, you stick it to the algorithms. It's the notification bell. Drop a comment down below. Let us know your thoughts. And Lorena, tell the folks out there where they can find you on this great, big, beautiful web that we have, as well as the content you've got coming up.
Well, folks, you can find me on Instagram. You can find me on X. You can find me on YouTube, where I do various videos and live streams for pop culture, sci-fi analysis, and, of course, theme park stream. So as for what your girl has coming up, Friday is the first day, the opening weekend of the Epcot 2024 Festival of the Arts. I am going to be live streaming that on the hunt for Star Wars art. Hopefully I can get a head start because that is Star Wars art is some popular stuff to score at the Arts Festival. So we're going to be doing that. And let's see, Saturday, having a watch party for Snow White, the original Snow White. We're having fun going back, checking out those older Disney films that just showcase the brilliance of Disney and, you know, and why we miss those things. Sunday, 8 p.m., Welcome to Florida show. All the crazy Florida man news we can fit in 90 minutes. And next Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern, I'm going to be kicking off my new live show called The Spice Lounge. Going to be having lots of hot takes and spicy conversation with regards to pop culture, anime, gaming, and whatever tickles the fancy of myself, my regular guests, and my drop-in guests. And as
Lorena,
always, thanks for having me here.
I think 2024 is going to be the year of Lorena. I can't wait to watch you achieve all these milestones that are coming. Also, Lorena, I'll tell you this. Folks, if you've been watching this video this long, you deserve a little nugget. And I'm just going to say, Lorena, I think that coming in the next 3 to 6 months, maybe even sooner, you are going to hear some things that I think you're going to be spending more time in Universal Studios, the original park in Orlando. Stuff is coming. Big, big stuff. Can't talk about it yet. Not allowed to talk about it yet. Big stuff coming, folks. Hang tight. All right, that's it. We're at a wrap. It's over. Hope you enjoyed it. Folks, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.
Huh. Hey, Floral. I just wanted to let you know I have a New Year's resolution.
Okay.
Although, I don't want to say it. It might be like a wish. If I speak it, I'll break it.
Usually a resolution is spoken out loud so you can be held accountable to it. Like, my resolution is to go to thatparkplace.com and be ready to see its new facelift, and to make sure I'm always subscribed to guys like Jonas and Pro, Culture Casino, LaReinaCreole, John Trent, you know, all of them.
Well, I actually got Slade Wilson to also make a resolution.
What's that?
I'd get in too much trouble if I repeated it. He took it way further than I feel comfortable repeating.
Well, that's probably a good call. But, what's yours?
It's not to say anything mean about Jonas.
How do you plan to do that? You're an idiot.